Good morning, everyone. And I'd like to begin by acknowledging that this meeting is being held on unceded territory. The peoples of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation have lived on this territory for millennia. Their culture and presence have nurtured and continue to nurture this land. Good morning, and I'd like to welcome everyone online and here in person to today's February 6th ARAC meeting. I'd like to ask the coordinator to call the roll.
Councillor DeRuse, Councillor Kitts.
Here.
Councillor Luloff.
Here.
Vice Chair Kelly.
Present.
And Chair, you have quorum.
Thank you very much, and I'll just acknowledge that Councillor Luloff is online. This is a public meeting to consider the proposed comprehensive official plan and zoning bylaw amendments listed as item 4.1 and 4.2 on today's agenda. For the items just mentioned, only those specifically identified in the Planning Act who make oral submissions today or written submissions before the amendments are adopted may appeal the matter to the Ontario Land Tribunal. In addition, the applicant may appeal the matter to the Ontario Land Tribunal if council does not adopt an amendment within 90 days of receipt of the application for a zoning bylaw amendment and 120 days for an official plan amendment. To submit written comments on these amendments prior to their consideration by City Council on February 12th, 2025, please email or call the committee council coordinator. I don't believe we've received any declaration of interest or none were filed. A confirmation of minutes for the ARAC minutes 20 January 23, 2025. Are the minutes confirmed?
Confirmed.
Thank you. Item 4.1, zoning bylaw amendment 1600 and 1618 Stagecoach Road. Cheryl McWilliams is the planner on the file. We have received no delegations or correspondence. Staff have prepared a presentation if the committee would like to receive one, but I haven't received a request for that presentation. We do have Ryan Polton from Novatech. Ryan, if committee is prepared to receive and pass this item, do you need to speak? Well, if you'd like to come up now, then please.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for sure. So I've prepared a presentation. So again, city staff are recommending refusal of the zoning. So I would like to prepare this presentation. So again, my name is Ryan Polton. I'm a planner with Novatech. Novatech acted as the agent on behalf of the owner to prepare and file the zoning application. Next slide, please. So this, I'm going to go quickly through my slides because I've only got 5 minutes, but this is the concept plan for the proposed subdivision. It's proposing 71 residential lots, including a road network, stormwater management ponds, and lands to the east along Stagecoach Road for a public park. Next slide, please. This is the proposed zoning map, and the proposed zoning is generally consistent with the subdivision that's adjacent to the north. Next slide, please. And this is the details of the requested zoning as well. There's site-specific provisions requested. It's all detailed in the complete planning rationale filed with the application. Next slide, please. And this is an excerpt from Schedule B9 of the official plan that I prepared yesterday. And it clearly shows that the property is designated village. Next slide, please. And so this is a timeline of key events and dates related to this zoning application as well as the subdivision application. I'm going to go through it as quickly as I can. On September 13th, 2023, City Council adopted Official Plan Amendment 5. That official plan amendment confirmed the property is within the village boundary and designated the property for residential uses. On January 26, 2024, a complete plan of subdivision application was filed. On June 19th, the subdivision application was refused by city staff, which was appealed to the tribunal. On October 3rd, ARAC considered staff recommendations on OPA 35. This was a city-initiated amendment, and it proposed to redesignate the property to rural countryside. That would have been consistent with how the city council originally adopted the official plan in 2022. October 16th, a complete zoning bylaw amendment application was filed. October 17th, there was a case management conference by the tribunal related to the subdivision application. A week later, they issued their decision. That decision is incredibly important. I'm hoping everyone has received that decision. It confirms that the property is designated as per official plan amendment 5, and it is in the village of Greeley. October 30th, a week later, City Council adopted official plan amendment 35. Again, I'm hoping City Council will circulate the tribunal's decision. I can confirm Annex 11 of the official plan identifies OPA 35 as pending appeals received, meaning it is not in force and effect today. November 21st was the end of the circulation period for the zoning application. And then on January 23rd, the owner received an email from city staff informing them of staff's recommendations. Next slide, please. So these are excerpts from the tribunal's decision, and I'm just going to read out paragraph 30. Official Plan Amendment 5 is the in-force OP designation for the subdivision appeal before the tribunal. The tribunal agrees with Sunset Lakes that the undoing of a modification cannot and does not revoke a subsequent official plan amendment. Next slide, please. So paragraph 34, this decision confirms the site's OP land use designation only. The OP, as amended by OPA 5, identifies the site as within the village boundary, village in the OP, and village residential in the secondary plan. The tribunal's decision is crystal clear. The subdivision application will be considered by the tribunal based on official plan amendment 5, and that official plan amendment 5 is in force and effect. Next slide, please. So this is the email the owner received from city staff. We note that it took 60 days after the circulation period ended to receive any correspondence from city staff on this application. City staff made a recommendation and prepared and published a report, all without any meaningful consultation with the owner or the consultant on issue resolution. I note we still haven't received a complete set of comments following the circulation period from city staff. Next slide, please. And this is an excerpt from the city staff report. We just note the first paragraph that's highlighted seems to make reference to OPA 35 when it says related amendments, and it confirms that the related amendments are not in full force. City staff report does not reference the tribunal's decision. It appears they've made a recommendation not on the tribunal's decision, but solely on the fact that the land wasn't in the village of Greeley when council initially adopted the official plan in 2022. City staff have not identified any substantive planning analysis or reasons why the proposed development is not appropriate. All supporting application material demonstrate the proposed development in this location is appropriate and consistent with planning policy. It's unfair to the owner to consider the zoning application based on OP policies that are not in force and effect today. Next slide, please.
Sorry, Ryan, you're out of time. Can you just wrap up quickly?
Absolutely, I was
Thank you.
almost done. So we're asking ARAC today to refuse the city staff's recommendations and to recommend to City Council that they adopt the proposed zoning bylaw amendment for 1600 Stagecoach Road. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for coming out today. Are there any questions for the delegation? Not seeing any. I know there's a motion. I'm going to ask the vice chair to read it in. I believe there was an error in the staff report that we're going to correct here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Whereas all reports rising to committee and council undergo a financial implications review, and whereas during the financial review of 1600 and 1618 Stagecoach Road, the incorrect information was added to the financial implications section of the report. Whereas this report is a refusal report and would lead to no financial implications. Therefore, be it resolved that the current wording of in the event the applications are refused and appealed, it would be necessary to retain an external planner. This expense would be funded from within the existing planning service operation budget, be replaced by there are no direct financial implications. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. I'll ask committee to vote on the amendment. Is that carried? Sorry, Councillor Lula.
Just a question to staff, Mr. Chair.
And we can't hear you very well, Councillor. I believe he said he had a question for staff.
How's that, Mr. Chair?
Much better, thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Can I proceed with my question to staff?
Yes, please.
Okay, staff, I'd just like you to comment on the point here that was made that a decision is being made based on a policy that's not yet in full force and effect. Just wondering for my edification if you could maybe explain that a little bit, either refute it or give an explanation as to whether or not that is factual and whether it has any force whatsoever in the decision to reject this application. Thank you.
With respect to the official plan amendment, most recently passed by council and appealed, it isn't in full force and effect, but it is council's position pending the outcome of the appeal. So that's staff's position, is that council has provided direction by passing that official plan amendment, effectively removing the lands from the village and that village residential designation. That's part of the picture in terms of staff's recommendation. The other part of the picture is we do not have an approved subdivision. Typically, we want a subdivision draft approved before we proceed to zoning, so that we know that the principle of the development in terms of the style, the layout, is appropriate before we recommend zoning.
Does this position put us at risk of appeal, and does it leave them a case for appeal?
Chair, this is a very unique situation with respect to the legal question that is currently before the tribunal. So the tribunal adjudicated on a specific question with respect to that the old official plan that the city had put in place to reflect the minister's decision. The minister then walked that back, removing that legislative framework and removing the lands from the village. The city then repealed the OP. The city took the position in order to be in adherence with what the legislative framework now says. That matter is now before the tribunal. So we are talking about a snapshot in time, which the tribunal did provide a decision on, but the outstanding issue of what that legislative framework means with respect to these lands and the council position repealing that to be in alliance with the minister's decision to remove the lands from the village, that remains outstanding at the tribunal.
That's very helpful. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Councillor. So on the technical amendment as read in by Vice Chair Kelly. Carried, thank you. Report recommendations: 1, that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend council refuse an amendment to zoning bylaw 2008-250 for 1600 and 1618 Stagecoach Road as shown in document 1, and 2, that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee approve the consultation detail section of this report as amended. Is that carried? Yeah. Thank you very much. Item 4.2, surplus farm severance rezoning, 1579 9th Line Road. We do have staff here. We do not have a presentation. We have received no delegations or correspondence. Would committee like this item held? No. Report recommendations: 1, that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend council approve an amendment to zoning bylaw 2008-250 for 1579 9th Line Road as shown in document 1 to prohibit residential development on the retained lands as detailed in document 2, and that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee approve the consultation details section of this report. Is that carried? Thank you very much. Item 4.3, I know there's going to be some conversation on that, so I'm going to hold that item. And we'll go on to item 5.1, Osgood Gardens, Cedar Acres Municipal Drain, appointment of the engineer. I know Dave Ryan is here. There are no presentation, no delegations, and we received no correspondence. The report recommendations: that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend council appoint Mr. Andy Robinson of Robinson Consultants, Inc. as the engineer of record to prepare a short report that addresses the subsequent disconnection to the Osgood Cedar Acres Municipal Drain for council's consideration prior to council approving or disapproving the disconnection under subsection 65(4) of the Drainage Act. Are there any questions Is this item carried? Thank you. Item 5.2, Thomas Baxter Municipal Drain. Again, Mr. Ryan is here. We have received no presentation, no delegations, and no correspondence. And the report recommends that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend council appoint Mr. Andy Robinson of Robinson Consultants, Inc. as the engineer of record to prepare a short report that addresses the subsequent disconnection of lands within the Thomas Baxter Municipal Drain for council's consideration prior to council making a decision under subsection 65(4) of the Drainage Act. Any questions on that one? Is this item carried? Thank you very much. And 5.3, engineers report amendments to the Thomas Gamble Municipal Drain. Again, Mr. Ryan is here. We do have Vincent and Marcel Deneme registered to speak and have provided a written submission if the members of committee have any questions. But I'll ask if Vincent or Marcel would like to speak if council is going to carry this item. We've got Vincent online.
No need to speak if the item is to be carried. We've submitted our comments and they're on the record there, so we're fine with the item being carried, Mr. Chair.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Vincent. The report recommends that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend that council adopt the engineer's report prepared by Robinson Consultants, Inc., entitled Engineer's Report Amendments to the Thomas Gamble Municipal Drain, and give first and second readings to the bylaw attached as document 3 in accordance with sections 42 and 45 of the Drainage Act of Ontario. Is this item carried?
Carried.
Thank you very much. So we'll go back to item 4.3, development charges complaint in respect of 327 Bayview Drive. I know that we do have a delegation here today, so I'm going to ask Mr. Jenner to come up if he could. Oh, he's online. So you're going to be promoted here in a moment, Mr. Jenner. And I'd like to thank you for coming to committee today. You do have 5 minutes to address the committee, and after that, if there are any questions from members of the committee, we'll go to questions. So if you'd like to go ahead, please proceed.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, having some technical difficulties here. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I think the basis of why I wanted to attend today is I'm in search of just fairness overall. And I think as presented in the information in the complaint, this is a long ongoing dispute, I think, with city staff, simply just looking to be treated fairly. At the time in 2019, when I purchased this property, I provided evidence to city staff that there was a building present on this lot in 2017. Yet any attempt to have a meeting or further correspondence with the city was just denied or ignored. Furthermore, I think of growing concern is at the time in 2019, I was actively working to resolve this issue, and development charges were somewhere in the neighborhood of about $19,000. But again, I was just flat out ignored on this file. And then of growing concern later on, given that I was not able to resolve the development charges of the building permit process, the city itself issued me a short-term rental permit. Oh, sorry, I see there's a hand raised. Should I pause for questions now?
No, carry on, and we'll go to Councillor Luloff after.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so as I was mentioning, at the time in 2019, I was told that I couldn't rent this property. It is a unique building. It's using recycled materials. I think it provides to the charm in Constance Bay. But unfortunately, the arbitrary interpretation of the building code from city staff at the time wouldn't allow it to be a rental property. So I continued to pursue with the city, work with the city, and again, applied for a short-term rental permit, which I was granted without hesitation. So as you can appreciate, this led to some confusion as I had not yet resolved and I couldn't get any correspondence, any response, or any support from city staff at all to resolve this issue. Yet the city turned around and issued me a short-term rental permit. I've got a long-standing career in construction, public and private sectors. I've had so many successes in working with the city, development charges, building permits, building code, etc. Yet for some reason in this unique case, I received no service at all. So I'm being prejudiced by the negligence of city staff in 2019, as well as being prejudiced by time. Since 2019, the increase to development charges is over 121%. So I'm hopeful here to just state my case and see if we can't roll back the clock and use the basis of the development charges at the time for 2019, as well as further consideration for the proof that's been provided, which is that there was a building on this property in 2019 or in 2017. So redevelopment charges should have applied at that time. That's it. That's it for me.
Thank you very much. Councillor Luloff.
Just out of curiosity, Mr. Jenner, I've seen a photo of the building that you built on this property. What's the total square footage of the building that you built?
Total square footage is 140 square feet.
140 square feet. So it's like a bunkie, basically. Oh, I think we're losing you. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like a bunkie.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a tiny home, and if you drive by, it's on a Keystone property in the Constance Bay area. You can't miss it. It's part of the heritage of the village now.
Yeah. What was the total cost to build that unit for you, other than development charges, just construction material and time and whatnot?
$13,000.
$13,000. So $13,000 building could potentially cost you $44,000 in development charges.
Exactly, on a piece of property that was worth $80,000 at the time.
Interesting. Okay, thanks for that.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Kitts.
Thank you, Chair. The amount that you quote in your complaint, the 2019, how did you arrive at that figure? Was that given to you by city staff?
It was given to me by city staff, yes. It was through some verbal conversation at the start. I am eager to provide additional proof of that number in the correspondence. Unfortunately, I've submitted an access to information request months ago. I'm yet to even receive a response, a fee proposal, anything. So I'm kind of handcuffed in terms of getting access to that information. It's unfortunate the city staff haven't met their obligation under the Access to Information Act.
Okay, thank you for that. And I guess, could you maybe describe your attempts to engage with city staff throughout this process?
Absolutely. I can share the correspondence, or again, they will come to light if ever that access to information request is satisfied. Continual emails, daily phone calls, meeting with building inspectors, requests to zoning staff to have a meeting, to speak to a manager, to by phone, in person. And then as evident, the city just seized all correspondence. And I think you can tell that by the 5-year delay. So obviously this file was either deliberately ignored or fell off the side of someone's desk, but I was unsuccessful in coordinating with them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now, Councillor Kelly, do you have a direction that you'd like to read in?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Whereas property owner of 327 Bayview Drive filed a complaint under Section 20 of the Development Charges Act, citing the expiration of a 5-year demolition credit entitlement and delays in building permit issuance that resulted in higher development charge fees. That staff report back prior to consideration of council on potential reimbursement of the property owner of 327 Bayview Drive.
Thank you very much. And I know staff are here, so would staff wish to comment on the direction?
Mr. Chair, we're supportive of that direction. We can take that away and report back.
Thank you very much. And I'm not seeing any questions I do now. Councillor Luloff.
Just very briefly, Mr. Buck, is would you classify this as sort of a typical interaction between somebody who's building and staff? Probably not, I suppose.
Chair, through you, I certainly hope not. No, this, certainly, I take the complainant's words to heart. I'm sorry to hear that. It doesn't sound like a typical interaction. I've not done a deep dive, myself in terms of what may or may not have happened in the rollout of this situation, but obviously that's not feedback that we'd like to hear.
No, fair play. And look, you've been instrumental in helping to solve other DC disputes, and I appreciate that. So looking forward to what you bring back to us. So thank you for that, Mr. Buck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. There's a small wording change and I'll read it out so we can have that in the record. Report recommends that the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee recommend that council consider the development charges complaint in respect of 327 Bayview Drive. So is this item carried? Carried. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for coming out, Mr. Buck, and to the delegation. We have no in-camera items, and I don't believe anyone has signed up for the open mic session. Are there any notices of motion? Seeing none, I don't believe we have any inquiries and no other business. And so we will adjourn, and our next meeting will be the 6th of March, 2020. Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Lulaf.
Very quickly, under other business, congratulations on your ascension to the chair of ARAC. We're looking forward to working with you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. And at any time, you can call me Your Majesty.
Farmer Chair?
I'll take that one as well. Thank you, Councillor. So we'll stand adjourned and the next meeting will be the 6th of March, 2025. Thank you very much.